ROKER Report Podcast. Today, we have a friend of the show joining us in the studio to discuss his 6 seasons at the Stadium of Light, as opposed to a match review. It's a first for you. Welcome to the show. Danny Collins, how are you doing?
Thanks very much. I'm good, mate, yeah.
Bit of a change in it, discussing your career rather than a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, different route today, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, why not? So, I wanted to start off with a bit of a trivia for you. So, you're probably the most famous Brazilian to have played for Sunderland. But who was the last Brazilian to play for Sunderland before you?
I know Emerson Tom played for him.
You got it right.
Yeah.
Boom.
Right.
We said he wouldn't get it, but he did. I'm a bit disappointed he got it that quick. Marcos Di Giuseppe.
No.
Played a trial game against Wolves.
Oh, right.
99, 2000.
There we go.
A bit of trivia. I'm disappointed he got it that fast. Damn.
Sorry, mate.
So we'll go back to when you first came to the club. Obviously, you're brought in by Mick McCarthy in a game that I remember being at, an impressive performance against Chester, for Chester against us. But did you feel like at the time when you played that game, that the cup competition at the Stadium of Light, because Chester, I think, had just come up from the conference.
Yeah, we had, yeah.
Was that like an opportunity did you feel for people to spot you? Did you feel it was like a big arena where you could potentially catch someone's eye? Not necessarily Mick McCarthy's, but someone's.
Yeah, definitely. I think just around that time, I did get wind that I'd been playing well. Obviously, the previous season we came up. I think we were sort of 9-10 games into the next season in League Two. I'd had a good start to the season, and I'd heard rumours that there was 1 or 2 clubs having a look, and Sunderland were possibly one. So obviously, coming up here that night, I'm thinking try and go out there and give a good account of yourself. And obviously, in Mick's eyes, I must have had a half decent game. And then, as I say, a couple of weeks later, I found myself back up here signing for the club. How
did you feel your performance was on the night? Did you feel like you did yourself justice?
What was the score?
3-0, I think.
Was it 2 or 3-0? Yeah. I mean, overall, yeah. Going back a long time now, but I think I'd done okay on the evening, to be fair, from what I can remember. Perhaps a comfortable 3-0 for Sunderland in a way, but, looking back, I think I must have done something right to get the attention of Mick.
You mentioned about how you knew Sunderland or a couple of other clubs were interested, but officially, you're not meant to know that kind of stuff.
No.
So, I mean, we're talking, 15 years ago now?
Yeah,
like
2004, yeah.
2004.
Yeah.
Spot on, 15 years ago.
Yeah. No, I think I did, because I know at Chester's ground, it's obviously a smallish ground, and then going up to the lounge after the game with the families and stuff, and the guy who, should we say, put the scouts and stuff into the directors' seats and all that sort of area in the ground, he'd have a chat with me after the game, and he said, I think obviously someone from so-and-so might have been having a look at you today. And I know Sheffield United were keen, and I think Everton might have been as well. So he'd used to drop onto me after a game and say, a couple of clubs were here having a look at you today, sort of stuff. So, But.
So when it comes to, I mean, I don't want to blow Sunderland's own trumpet or belittle Chester in any way, but obviously it's a step up in terms of everything, yeah. But at the same time, we'd just been beating the playoffs. We didn't have the likes of Phillips and Quinn. They'd been gone sort of the season or a season and a half previous. Yeah. But how did Mick McCarthy sell Sunderland as a project to you? Because obviously you said Sheffield United and Everton probably of equal size.
Yeah. Well, just remembering back, I think my last game for Chester on the Saturday was against Macclesfield. I scored the winner in the 92nd minute, 1-0, header off a corner. I remember getting home that evening, and just my agents called me up and said, "Are you up to much this evening?" I said, "No, not too much." He said, "Well, get your stuff sorted and get a few bags packed for tomorrow. We're off up to Sunderland. The deal's been agreed." So that was sort of that really. Up Sunday morning, I met my agent. We drove up, and that was that really. But as you say, you come up here, you're seeing the training ground, the stadium, and just everything about the place really. Obviously, when you're driving around the city and everyone's out in their shirt, no matter what day of the week it is, you see enough Sunderland shirts about town and stuff, and you just get the full vibe of what the place is all about straight away.
The thing with Sunderland as well, now I can't remember who it was we spoke to. It was Kevin Ball, funnily enough, and he was speaking about when he came up, and obviously everyone's coming to Sunderland has a different story, because I don't know if you go to the stadium first and that. Yeah. But he spoke about Dennis Smith taking him to like certain parts of Sunderland and be like, "This is Sunderland," sort of thing. Right. Did Mick McCarthy, because he struck me as the kind of man that would maybe do that kind of thing?
From what I can recall, I remember meeting Dave the physio, Dave Binningsley. Obviously, I had to go to the hospitals and just do all my medical stuff, really. Then down to the training ground first, and I think went to the stadium last. So that was sort of the order, which I can remember. So we're going back
the finishing
15 years now. Yeah. So yeah, creamed off, obviously going down to look at the stadium alike. But yeah, it was pretty much a quick deal. And I think I stayed down in, I think it's the Copthorne in Newcastle. I stayed for a few weeks when I signed. And Darren Carter was in there and somebody else was in there. I can't remember who else was in there. So it was three. So they helped me out in terms of getting me way around town and stuff, and getting back into the training ground really to start off. Because coming from a little quiet town in North Wales where I'm from, obviously playing for a smaller club to Chester, it is a big step and just coming out of your comfort zone really. And I had to sort of grow up fast and get used to it.
How quickly do you realise you're in such a bubble? As you said, I assume Chester's not the same sort of bubble as the North East. I imagine many places aren't.
No.
How quickly does it sort of dawn on you oh shit, I'm in this place where football is absolutely everything?
Yeah. No, it does, yeah, pretty much straight away really. I say driving to the stadium on a match day really, coming over the bridge and you're seeing the fans in the hordes coming over the bridge there to the stadium, and then just when you're out and about around town really, if you go out for a meal or, a quiet drink or whatever, and there's always Sunderland fans out and about, and then they want to have a chat with you and they want to, just sort of make you feel welcome and get used to the club. And as you say now, it's completely different to Chester. I mean, Chester's fan base, probably 3,000, 4,000 maybe back in the day in sort of League Two. Coming up here, you're 30,000 plus, so it's a different world.
When we're talking about the Sunderland team, we mentioned before, obviously, that we didn't have the likes of Phillips, Quinn and stuff like that at that point. And we did very much have a bunch of either experienced pros that had been there and done that at a decent level, or young lads, which was like yourself, Liam Lawrence and stuff like that. But one thing that Mick McCarthy seemed to have built, based on previous conversations I've had, was a team spirit.
Yeah, it was.
Very much about people knowing their job, very much about him being approachable.
Yeah.
But we had some real characters in the team. We interviewed Jeff Whitley not long ago, who very much a changed man, but him and Sean Thornton. How did Mick McCarthy handle characters should we say the previous character of, say, Jeff Whitley and the likes of, Sean, how do you describe Sean Thornton? Jeez.
Yeah, no, I think with Mick, he'd like to have a laugh and a joke around the training ground. He'd give lads a certain amount of rope, if you like, and then, at times you'd have to rein him in. And obviously, whatever club you're at, you'd always get one or two characters. And, and say the time I joined the club, obviously Sean, Jeff, Michael Bridges, these type of characters were at the club and liked the laugh and a joke and stuff. But I think Mick was happy with that in and around the training ground. But once it was time to go out and work on the training pitch for that hour and a half, 2 hours, then he wanted lads to knuckle down and to, obviously to concentrate and work towards the game ahead at the weekend and what the aim was.
Do you have any funny memory stories about Sean Thornton? Anything that sticks out?
I remember one day we did go. We went on a paintballing team bonding day.
Wasn't Chris Brown involved in that? Was it?
No.
Good shot.
I think he was banned then. Yeah. We were on the bus and Sean had obviously put on a bit of weight, and a few of the lads were digging him about his weight, and he must have picked a seat which was a bit dodgy on the bus. And as he sat down on the seat, the seats collapsed on the bus, so everyone was in stitches and that, and started absolutely battering him. And just that's one straight away that I remember. But yeah, obviously you go back to the time we got promoted, and then he's broke out and he's rapping, Vanilla Ice in the changing rooms, and that's a bit cringy.
Was it serious? Was that a serious
thing? No, I
thing?
think because he used to, I don't know what he say. He used to come in his basketball vests and his caps backwards. Just the character he was, and he used to
Fred Durst,
like the the rap music and all that. And then obviously he knew the Vanilla Ice, the rap. So the lads were egging him on a bit after the game, and then he doesn't take too much encouragement, and it was just spotlight on him on it really. So he took the reins and cracked on with it.
Good player as well.
Yeah, he did have good ability, to be fair. Sure, yeah. Just perhaps could have done with the attitude to go with it at times, and I'm sure he'll admit it himself. He could have progressed better in his career than what the career he had after that, really. But he certainly had the ability.
Yeah, no, 100%. I remember thinking you'd be really, really good when he first came through, but I think, as you said, attitude, which I don't want to comment on because I don't know him, but it's obviously something wasn't quite right there. Looking at obviously that season in particular as well, I think we have touched on the characters in the team and what Mick McCarthy wanted to build. But when you look through the team, especially when you see how much we struggled the season later, there was lesser known names there. There wasn't any big, massive names. I mean, if you go through the team, those people that went on to have good careers, but at that point they weren't. Yeah. Do you ever feel like Mick McCarthy wasn't given the credit he really deserved for getting that team promoted? Because he didn't splash any cash, he didn't bring in any big names, and he got us from a really low ebb of a 19-point season, and he got us up almost in the first season, and then he got us up the second season quite comfortably.
Yeah, I think obviously the year I joined, you mentioned there was a lot of myself, Liam, Dean Whitehead. We'd come in from League Two clubs, and then Marcus Stewart, good experience, pro, knew the ropes, and Gary Breen, obviously Stevie Caldwell, younger but good experience. So we had Carl Robinson, these type of lads, good spine to the team, with a few other younger lads coming into a big learning curve, and you had to hit the ground running. And so thankfully that first year bonded well, and we gelled and managed to get over the line and get up. Then obviously we go into the Premier League, and I think everyone sort of knows that Mick didn't really get too much to spend. I think might have did Steady come in that year, and Andy Great maybe. Didn't No, it didn't happen for Steady early on. He didn't get a goal for the first 20 odd games, did he? So we were up against it, and obviously for myself and I said there, the likes of Liam and Dino, and it was new for us to go straight into the Premier League really, and it was a big learning curve for us, and unfortunately we got relegated.
It must have been because when you've gone from Chester, and I think we were third when you came in, around that.
Yeah, third or fourth. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And when you came in, obviously you got in a team that was playing top end of the Championship, won the league, really good team spirit. Everything was positive. A manager that you obviously had respect for, and everyone liked. And I think everyone had respect for. Everything's perfect. It must feel like an absolute dream move. You're even learning a new position. He places you at left back a little bit. You're getting in and out of the team. You're playing alongside experienced pros like Gary Breen. Everything sounds hunky-dory. Yeah. So when it goes into that Premier League season, I think as a fan, it was draining as a fan. Yeah. And I think a few players have touched on it, and as fans we have as well. We never really got battered. So it wasn't like we ever...
That's the annoying thing. Yeah, just as I was just about to say the same. Don't really remember us ever getting any 4 or 5-0 hidings. No. I think it was always the 1-0s and 2-1s, and that was the annoying thing. It was just... But you're losing regularly, and it snowballs from there, really.
So it was never like a lack of effort, and I think everyone from memory would probably... Whenever you discuss anyone that was lack of quality, it was never to do lack of effort, but I think there's a lot made about footballers' mental state these days as well, and a lot of things can affect a mental state, but when you're getting battered like that every single week in not battered, getting beat, sorry, in a bubble like the Northeast, where like I think social media was starting to come to then, and we were like the butt of everyone's joke. How does that take a toll on you, or as a team, or as an individual, mentally? Like, how do you deal with that?
It is tough, you can't get away from it if you like, as we mentioned at the start there. You're in a bubble if you like, you're out and about. I mean, I was out. I think I went to B&Q one day, and I've walked down one of the aisles, and then this guy's walked past me, didn't say nothing to me face, got 30 yards past me, and then he turned around and he said, "Shouldn't you be down the training ground working harder?" Do you know what I mean? Just these little things. But when you're younger, you probably do take that to heart more. But the older you get, you learn to grow thick skin, and you have to sort of shake these type of things off. And at the end of the day, everyone wanted the same thing. We wanted to do well. We wanted, for Sunderland to do well and to be in the top half of the table. It wasn't going well, but you're picking newspapers up, as you say there. The media was starting to get bigger, and you see and hear everything that's being said. It's not nice, but again, football is an industry you're in where you've got to have a thick skin, and if you haven't got that thick skin, then you're not going to survive.
Was it tough to go out on a Saturday that season?
It was, yeah. I mean, I was, what would I have been, 25, 26-ish, so mid-20s, but if I did go out with a couple of the boys and that, you would get comments and you get stuff said to you and that, but you have to take it. I don't mind standing and having a chat with fans if they want to stand and have a reasonable chat with you, not someone who's 20 pints deep and want to stand there hurling abuse at you. You tend to want to walk on past them, don't you? But again, as I say, you have to, when you wear the badge of Sunderland, you have to sort of burden this expectation really, and what the fans expect from you. And at that time it wasn't going to plan, but thankfully we came back the next year and we got back up again.
Talking about players from that particular period, there's one that sticks out in my mind, and I don't like to push my agenda on this podcast, as we all know, which is a lie, but Stubbsy drives me nuts. I've never liked Alan Stubbs.
Alan Stubbs,
yeah.
Right, okay.
Now, I don't know whether you remember it, and I can't quite remember whether you were playing or whether you were on the bench that day, but played Everton. I think it was New Year's Day or New Year's Eve.
Home or away?
Home. Tim Cahill scores in the last minute.
Yeah.
He allegedly, I wasn't there, didn't see it, but many have, jumps up when Everton score, as he was on our bench, goes to Everton 2 days later. So I suppose the question I'll ask, how was Alan Stubbs in the dressing room? Did he bring the experience that you wanted or expected him to bring to us?
I think he was quite, from what I remember, again, we're going back now, but I remember Stubbs, he was quite quiet, I think. Not really a ranter and raver, from what I remember. I think the game, I can't remember, he scored down at Highbury, I think. I think that was my debut in the Premier. I think we lost 3-1 or 3-2. 3-1 was it, yeah. But he scored that day, I think. I just remember him playing in that one. But I've spoke to lads who I know who've played under him. I think he, obviously at Rotherham, he had a stint as the gaffer at Rotherham a couple of years back. And again, I think he was associating with perhaps being a bit of a sort of leader, quite, vocal and stuff.
Yeah,
but from what they said, he was quite a quietish guy, really, and it didn't have, probably too many bollockins in him as a manager type of stuff. But I've played with other managers where you'd expect them to be quite, vocal and stuff, but they're not. So, characters are different to what they're perceived.
Yeah, because I was just saying there before, we expected him to be like the Steve Bull type that came in. I don't know whether you remember that.
Yeah, I remember him, yeah. But
Baldy coming in and stuff like that was like the experienced head. And I was more thinking like you at that point were a centre-half primarily. And I think Neil Collins was there as well.
Neil was in money, yeah.
And I suppose you'd expect someone like Alan Stubbs coming in would be like quite a big thing for you.
Yeah. Certainly for his time at Everton as well before then as well, yeah. But no, I can't, as I say, we're going back a while, but I can't remember anything that sticks out towards what you're suggesting. But no, I just remember being quite quiet. I think Breeny was more of that type. I think Breeny was obviously a skipper when I came in that first season. He was good with the younger lads. He'd like to have a bit of a laugh and a joke with the boys. But again, when it was time to go out on the training ground and work, and Breeny would get into the boys, and it's got to be like that, really, I think.
When it comes to that season, we spoke about sort of team spirit a lot, and I think I've spoke to a few lads, yourself, Neil Collins, Dean Whitehead, Darren Ward, and there is a certain character from that sort of period. I think I mentioned Darren Ward there, but Darren Ward was later, sorry. But there was a good core of people there that obviously all got on. But I think when the season came along, not only did we not have enough money, you had the likes of like Anthony Letalic came in and stuff like that. Was there any? And I'll maybe use him as a yardstick, but was there any certain players that came in that did affect that as well, outside of the quality? Was the players that just didn't quite get Sunderland?
From that time, yeah. Funny, I was just going to say Letalic as well, really. I just didn't think he took to it. I think obviously he was at Liverpool. I'm not sure whether he thought he was too big to come down here. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't our cup of tea. I think he liked the football lifestyle without thinking he could have to come down here and work hard and put the effort in for the club. And Mick could probably say the same. I think, he just wasn't a Sunderland type of player, really. Can't remember any. I think obviously you've got the likes of Chimbonda and Juve, and them came after under Roy, didn't they, later on?
You had like Basila and that around that era.
Oh yeah, he wasn't too bad, to be fair. He'd try and mix with the boys and work harder in training and stuff, really. Yeah, but
not too many problems.
Not really. No, I say we had a good core of good lads, as you mentioned. Andy Welsh as well. Really, he was a good lad.
Great lad.
Yeah, Welsh.
Really great lad.
So I always think you need a good core of good British lads, really, and then you can add one or two foreigners into the squad and see how it goes, really. And they've got to be willing to mix in and to obviously learn the language and have that banter with the boys as well, really.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mick went, and I think the season didn't go too well, but I still feel, looking back, just as a fan, it was probably a bit unfair. What could he do, really? I don't think anyone could have took over and made a difference. But then now Quinn came in near the end of the season, sort of bought the club. So it was weird. I think we played Arsenal last game of the season, and we were well relegated, and we got beat 4-0. But everyone was, I think we'd sold like 40,000 tickets.
Right, sir.
Everyone was quite happy because we knew Quinny was there. We knew something was happening. Bob Murray was going. Quinny was going to come in.
Yeah.
And I think Quinny had the odd soundbite come here and there. But when the season actually started, obviously Roy Keane wasn't there originally, and we absolutely struggled like anything. I went to the first 5 games.
Yeah, that's right.
I still haven't forgive you for Plymouth yet. But how low of an ebb was the club at?
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously Quinny took over with Bobby. Who did he have?
Bobby Saxton.
Bobby Saxton, that's right. Yeah, Bobby come in. Yeah, so the two of them on the training ground. Quinny will be the first to admit it perhaps wasn't his his cup of tea being a gaffer. But it just, I think, as you mentioned, first 5 or 6 games, we were struggling down the bottom of the table, weren't we? And it wasn't.
We lost all the games,
yeah,
didn't we?
It wasn't going. We drew 1 if we were lucky, I think, didn't we? So Quinny obviously stepped aside and brought Roy in. And then there was a quick turnover of players coming in. He brought a lot of lads in, sort of who he knew really. I think obviously Liam Miller, Ross Wallace from his Celtic days, Johnny Evans, Danny Simpson, just boys who we knew, and Graham Kavanagh as well. These lads came in, and we sort of turned it around quick. So I think obviously that can go one or two ways really. You look at some clubs who bring 9-10 players in, they don't gel, they need more time. This comes out and then it doesn't work. But thankfully for us, we sort of settled down quick. Lads got to know each other well, and we kicked on and went on a good run.
What was there? Because we remember Bobby Saxton really well, and I kind of forget that he came back temporarily in that sort of small period, and he's one of the best characters that Sunderland have ever had, especially in my lifetime, probably of all time. But do you have any good memories of Bobby Saxton? How did you find him?
Just on the training ground, really. I can't remember anything specifically, but just the type of character he was. He seems like a good number 2 or a good member of the coaching staff to have, really. Likes a bit of a laugh and a joke with the boys, and then obviously dishes the odd bollocking out, really. But sort of good cop, bad cop. He'd be the good cop. You could have a laugh and a joke with. But as I say, he was only in 4 or 5 games early on, and then
One thing I wanted to touch on before we go into the Roy Keane years, which are obviously a lot more positive. Probably a place that you don't want to go, but we've mentioned it a touch, the Plymouth game. I remember it really well. I've got kind of weird memory for stuff like that. Right. And I remember going up and we scored really early in the game. And I think it's probably interlines in what we have at the moment. And how the team sometimes plays at home and how we can sometimes struggle. You made that mistake, which was, I think we've spoke about it before, it was a bad mistake. And it was what it was, and we weren't going through good form. No one was playing particularly well, but you were the one that would have got the vitriol that season. The Stadium Light's a brilliant place to play. Sunderland's a great place to play. And I think Kevin Phillips famously said, things are going well, best place to play. Not going well, worst place to play, or something to that effect. How lonely can the Stadium Light be when you make a mistake like that?
Well, it is really. I mean, I guess it'd be like, a City player playing at the Etihad. You make a bad mistake, you got 50,000 people just looking down at you, and you want the ground to sort of swallow you up, really. But again, going back to it before, when you're younger, and when I'm obviously at that time, you let it affect you. For if I made a mistake on a Saturday, you probably Tuesday, Wednesday, you're still dwelling on that mistake, really, and going over it in your head. The older you get, if you've made a mistake when you're 30s plus, you tend to let it go easier. And you think, right, it's happened now. I can't do nothing about that. Let's get ready, get focused. We're training tomorrow. Let's get ready for the next game and try and put it right. And that's what you do. But Kev's right what he's saying. I think we've actually had this discussion. I won't name the player who said, but we stood with Mick. We trained at the stadium because we were having a bad time there. So I think Mick actually got us to go. We'll do a few sessions at the Stadium of Light. We trained out there just to try and get the lads used to playing in there, if you like. And we stood there and he said, what is it, lads? How we seem to be doing okay on the road, but what is it in this place where it's not quite happening for us? And then the lad who spoke up said, it's this. Meaning, first 10, 15 minutes, if you're not at it, then the crowd can get on. A few lads tend to go into their shells, and you just, you have to grow into playing in the stadium, really. And obviously I've been watching games this season and I can see the same type of thing. Like, I can imagine that 90% of managers that come up here with their teams will say, coming up here, lads, big expectation from the home fans. If we can keep them quiet, play on the front foot and, dominate possession early on, the crowd will get restless and get on their backs, and they'll start to, make mistakes and stuff. And that's what the majority of teams coming up here will look to do.
Roy Keane came in and we know things had changed. I think we all know what he did. He brought in standards and stuff like that. What was it about Roy Keane, though, as a coach that improved the team as well? Because we all talk about his aura, but what was it about his coach, his work on shape and stuff like that? Was there anything in particular that he changed?
I wouldn't say Roy was full on hands-on on the training pitch as much. I think he left it Tony Laughlin. Yeah, he was obviously at Burnley now with Sean Dyche, but Tony was great. Tony loved coaching. Keane as mustard, win, lose or draw. Tony would be first one out there, excited to get on with the session, the type of guy you want on the training pitch. And Roy would watch a lot of sessions, you know what I mean? So the lads knew he's there, knew he's watching and taking note of the session. A lot of managers, I guess, like to do. I've played with managers, who like to be full on hands-on and doing everything themselves, and they've got their assistants collecting the cones and pumping the balls up, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But Roy would, at the training, I remember a lot of times he'd stand on the bank there and get a good view from up on the bank, watching the sessions and stuff, and then come down and say his piece after. He did obviously join in a few times. I think he used to like the little rondos, the little boxes before training, and I think the young Viol, we used to have a Friday young Viol five-a-side, and he obviously, I think his team got battered one day, and I think he said, right, that's it, I'm not playing anymore. So he'd come out of there. But I think it was just his aura and his character around the training pitch, which was enough for the standards of the training session to be up there.
Is there something to be said by the fact that, although he had no managerial experience beforehand, the fact that he'd won everything pretty much? I mean, not the World Cup, obviously. He's Irish, so he doesn't stand a great chance of that. But when it comes to like the fact that he won everything, was it almost like that made up for his lack of managerial experience? That you thought, well, he's done it. He's like a leader at Manchester United. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to take that on board and listen to it. Yeah,
I think you do. I think as a player, you have to respect the career he had as a player himself. Really, I've played with other managers who've been top players. Like Ian Rush, for instance, was my manager at Chester. You see,
okay,
obviously a great player.
Yeah, very good player.
What wasn't great as a manager, I think that was his first job coming in at Chester. It wasn't really great. It left a lot of it to his assistant manager. So it doesn't always work like that in terms of good player doesn't always become a good manager. But I thought with Roy, I mean, I got on great with him in my time there. Played a lot of games under him, and I think with his character, I think he puts on a bit of a persona for the public, if you like. Behind closed doors, around the training ground, on the bus. He likes a laugh, you see. I think obviously watched the documentary done the other week with Gary Neville, that off the ball.
Oh, it was brilliant.
It's good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You see on there, he has got a good dry banter about him, and it's just the way he tells his joking. Yeah, so he did have that about him. But I think just when we got to the hotels and the autograph hunters were about, and these type of guys who he wasn't obviously too fond of, he'd switch it on and become Roy Keane that everybody knows, if you know what I mean.
Nyron told us that story about when a kid was asking for his autograph. At the airport, I think it was.
Right, go on. Go on, see if I remember this one.
Some kid came up with 8-year-old, and I think the granddad or the dad was like, "Oh, will you sign there?" Like, will you sign this? He's a big Man United fan, and working.
I don't even think he realised that was like private webcam at the back. Obviously, we had lost the game, and we was at the airport flying back, and there was an old fella, and I think it might have either been his son or his grandson, and they were waiting patiently. You could see they were just waiting to obviously asked for Roy for a signature, and I was thinking in my head, I don't think they're going to get any joy here, but we'll wait and see. And the old man's come over, like we was queuing up, and the old man's come over and he's asked, well, Roy, can I please get your signature? It'd be much appreciated. And he's just turned around bluntly and just gone, no, like very abrupt, no. And I was like, yeah, and that's that then. But the persistence of the guy who's like, all right, let me wait, maybe we'll carry on. So he's gone back to him and said, no, please, obviously it's for my grandson. He's here and it would be much appreciated if you could. No, very blunt. No, I said, no, that's it. And I leave it there, turned back. So obviously, queue up, just kept it moving. I was like, he's so harsh, but he's Roy, innit? What can you say? And then finally the geezers come back again for a third time. I was thinking, boy, it's either he's going to get explosive, Roy, or that, the gaffer's going to give in and say, all right, look, have it, go away. Mate, told him to basically, no, I'm not signing it, just leave it be. And the boy started like tearing up, and he's gone to the little boy. I basically, like, don't cry. What are you crying for? Like, sometimes these things happen.
I think we got on a lift actually on one away trip, and it was like, obviously I was in there myself and a couple of the other boys, and Roy was in there, and the autograph hunters, that come with the books and all this, they wanted him signing, so they've held the doors open, and we'd been on a long bus journey, get to the hotel, so he was obviously a bit tired or whatever, but these guys come in, and obviously he's got a couple of books out, hasn't he? But I think someone else has obviously wrote books on his behalf, shall we say, which aren't legit books or whatever. So Roy's obviously gone, listen, I'm not signing that one. That isn't my book. I'm not signing that one either. That's not my book. But I'll sign that one there. That one's my book. Do you know what I mean? Just little things like that. Really. Yeah.
Standards.
Yeah.
He sets his standards and keeps them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Roy did really well with us, I think, for the first couple of seasons. Yeah, we know how things went after that. But the big pull-out for me, which I think we kind of forget about because we beat them so often when we play them these days, but you're part of the team playing at centre-half that finally broke the Newcastle hoodoo at home when we beat them 2-1.
Yeah.
I remember the game myself, clear as day, really, and never felt like we wouldn't win. But what were your memories of that day? And B, did Roy do anything different? And C, you had the likes of Chimbonda, Juve, and Cisse in the team that day. Cisse played great, actually.
Yeah.
Did players like that get it?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, these type of lads would. I don't know. They're just different. I mean, every character is different. Whatever club I've been at, you always get your different characters. You get lads who want to go out and train like they play. You get some lads who want to try and coast through training Monday till Thursday maybe, and then try and turn on a Friday. But you have to try and accept these lads. I go out on a train. I hate losing 5-a-sides. If I was out there, I'd get a sulk on if I lost a 5-a-side type of thing. But you get other lads who wouldn't be too bothered about it, and think they could just go and do it on a Saturday. So you have to try and take these lads into the squad. Chimbonda being the prime example, really. I remember I had a bit of a ding dong with him on the training ground one day where we were having 11v11 and we had an attacking corner and he was 20 yards that side of me, and obviously they broke on us, so I'm running back. I've actually ran past him, getting back to try and get in and make a tackle and that, and he's just like jogging back, cantering back. So I've had a few words with him, say, any chance you livening the cup this morning, just these type of things. Yeah. But come the derby day, and of course they know what it's about. And the likes of Cisse, he wants to be the big standout Ibrahimovic type of character, doesn't he? Get the winning goal and that type of stuff. And I think did he score the first goal? Steed's cross shot.
We'll say cross.
He'll tell you he picked him out with a good cross, when and then he sort of slid in, didn't he, and poked it in. But and he scored at St James's as well, didn't he?
He did.
I think in one. So yeah, there you go. That answers your question, really.
Was he up derby he's played in it? I think up until that point, actually, for every club he'd played for.
Right,
which is a lot, I think, about his character.
No, but to be fair, out of the three of them, Juve, Cisse, and Chimbonda, I'd say Jibril did train well as well. Don't get me wrong, he was a bit of a character off the pitch with 40-odd cars and his outrageous tracksuits and all that, but he did train well, to be fair to him. And as you say, come derby day, he was obviously up for it, scoring a couple in there. But
who had the worst dress sense, Jufi or Cisse? Because I heard Jufi used to come in with like medallions and
I know he did. He'd come in like some 80s rapper or something. It's a toss up between the two of them, I think. Pascal wasn't really into the mad clothes and that, but
just like these braids, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, you remember that session? Have you heard that one?
Bardo about when we would refuse to head the ball.
Yeah, I think Ricky was in charge then, and we were doing some defensive work, and he refused to come. We were doing a heading session of crossing and finishing, whatever it was, and sorry, Gaffer, I can't head the ball this morning. What are you on about? I've had my hair braided yesterday. It's a bit tender on my forehead and that, so Ricky just stood there and shook his head looking at him, so yeah.
We spoke to Bardo about that, and Bardo was just like, I just said, I'm going to get in ahead of him. Was Bardo a little bit more animated than that?
He could be Bardo, yeah. Fiery character, but one you'd want on your team.
Absolutely.
Derby day especially, yeah.
That season obviously was a bit of a struggle in the end once Roy went. I think Ricky started all right, and then I think the characters might have got better of him. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I think Ricky was a good coach again, going back to what we said previously. I don't think Ricky, probably say himself, I don't think he's a gaffer, do you know what I mean? He's a great coach. He likes the laugh and the joke with the boys. But no, how many games were left when he took over?
He came in like December time.
Did he? Really?
Yeah, but he won a couple of games.
Yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, I think we did we draw with Arsenal. I think we drew at Arsenal. It was a game away, and then we went on. He took us on a 4-day break to Spain or something. I remember that. But great bloke. I think I bumped into him about a year ago actually in the dentist. I hadn't seen him for a few strange as you like, but he was in the dentist there, so I had a catch up. I think he was doing Scotland under 21s or something at the time. But a great bloke, yeah.
I think he's still there actually.
Is he?
I think he's still there, yeah. One of his games, or the only derby game that he took charge of, was a 1-1 draw. I think Amiobi scored the penalty. I think
was it away.
Yeah.
Was that when I'd say Steve Malbronk tangled with Stephen Taylor, threw himself over in the box, and they got the penalty, I think.
Yes, it was.
Sure it wasn't.
I think so. Yes, it was. No, I tell a lie. It wasn't. It was the one where, because it leads into the question actually.
Oh right,
Michael Chopra.
Oh, when he missed.
Are you sure that wasn't the game?
Right. Yeah,
could have been. Actually, you might be right. I could be wrong.
I think 1-1. I've played in that one. It was 1. Yeah, and they got a penalty. We were 1-0 up when we early on.
That's right.
Cisse scored.
It was that game. Same game.
It was that.
Yes,
yeah, and then they got the penalty 20 minutes to go, maybe, or something.
And then we went clean to and goal 5 minutes to go.
And I can't remember that incident either. I'll have to see this back because you've asked me about this a few times.
I have, haven't I? Yeah. Now I got Carlos Edwards in, right?
Yeah.
And I did a talk in with Carlos Edwards at the fan museum. I asked him a straightforward question, and everyone I've ever spoken to has always said No, he didn't miss on purpose, including Michael Chopra himself, who, for all of his ills, is actually not a bad lad.
Mm-hmm.
I asked Carlos Edwards, and Carlos Edwards immediately went, yeah, of course he missed on purpose. He knew he couldn't go back home if he missed that. What's your thoughts on it?
No, I mean, was Carlos joking when he said it type of thing, or was he serious?
He's had a few beers.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I think the only person who would know that is Michael Chopra, but no, I know what the lad's like, and he loves scoring goals, and I don't think you've got that time on the pitch whenever, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to miss this so I can go, do you know what I mean? I think, did he just put it past the post, did he? I can't remember it. Was it one-on-one and he just slotted it past the post?
Torpedoed the ball to Kenwyne Jones' knee.
Right.
Could
he have shot himself there?
Yeah. Right. He put it down to confidence.
Yeah.
He said he'd not been in the team very much.
Right.
He came on, it was a pressure moment. He said if it was the season previous, he would have put it in. Right. I.e., for example, he hit the crossbar the season beforehand at home.
Right.
He worked his bollocks off to try and score. So I suppose there's an element of truth to it. But the reason I asked, and I think we've discussed it before, there was a huge rumour that you were the one that like immediately went for him afterwards. Right. So can we dispel that rumour?
Well, perhaps I did it. I might have said, Chops, why didn't you shoot? Or, you know, something like that. Depends how you think. I can't remember gripping him or anything like that, but we might have had a few words or something. Why haven't you shot yourself or something like that? But I think if you ask most strikers, they're going to want to, score and, well, say be the hero. I know what you're saying. He's obviously from Newcastle and that, but I just don't think as a striker that the first thought I think is scoring a goal.
Yeah.
But only Chops knows at the end of the day, I suppose.
So moving on, sort of from that, I think obviously we did fairly well in staying up, in the sense, although it was kind of other people's feelings really. But then Steve Bruce came in, and obviously manager of Newcastle now, so you can say whatever you like about him. But he came in and immediately made you his captain all the way through pre-season, all through the first few games, and then sold you.
Yeah.
Do you still have a bit of a sour taste when it comes to Steve Bruce? Yeah, Steve Bruce, never spoken to him since?
I've never, not since the last day I spoke to him was the game at Stoke, where obviously I signed for Stoke 2 days after. We played him, didn't we? Yeah. But no, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Managers, and they do what they have to do in terms of players on and on. But yeah, going back to your point, was it a bit of a strange one? Of course it was, because we'd gone to the Amsterdam tournament, I think, in the summer, haven't we? He made me, pulled me aside there. You'd be the captain. Done all that business. We came back here, and straight into the start of the season. We win the first 2 of the first 3 games, and then he pulls me in for a chat after picking up 6 points out of 9. You're captain of the club. I think we just beat Blackburn 2-1 on the Saturday at home.
Yeah, and Bolton. I think we only got beat off Chelsea.
Yeah, so we 6 points out your first 9 points in the Premier League's not to be sniffed at really. And obviously captaining the club, loving it up here. Going into my 5th season, whatever, and he pulls me in Tuesday or the Wednesday. Just says, "Look, I know you've done great for the club last few years, but I'm looking at bringing some more defenders in, and I can't guarantee, if I get these boys in, that you'll be playing every week." And I've had Tony Pulis on the phone down at Stoke asking about you, so I'm going to put you on the bench at the weekend, which was a strange one. Hold on, just played 90 minutes there. We just, on a bit of a high, 6 points, and then I'm being put on the bench. So, if you want to stay down after the game, have a chat with Tony, you can do. And that was it, really. I've gone home a bit disappointed and thinking, well, where do I lie here? Spoke to my agent, went to the game. I was obviously on the bench. It was the end of August, so the window was closing a few days after, and stayed down with my agent on the Monday, and that was it. Then I signed for Stoke on the Monday, on the deadline day, and all came a bit, thick and fast, really. And looking back at it, I'm not going to say anything bad about Steve Bruce. At the end of the day, it's it's his opinion. If he wanted to get other lads in who preferring other players, or what he thought could do a better job, fair enough. But from my person, my missus was from up here. I was settled, and not long moved into my new house, and it was just a bit strange. If I was one of his lads who was on the bench, or not even getting kitted up on the Saturday, you'd say fair enough. But it was just a bit strange, really.
Yeah.
So
on to easier stuff. I haven't done this for a while. I don't think I've done it with you yet. But from the time that you've spent at Sunderland in your 6 seasons, pick your 5-a-side Sunderland team.
5-a-side Sunderland team, right? Okay. In goal, from my time at the club, I'd probably go Darren Ward in goal. Obviously played in the season we went up, I think, under Roy, wasn't it?
Good lad as well.
Good lad, good keeper. I'd go with Wardy in goal. At the back, am I put myself in, or am I just going with 5 people who I'd put?
What makes it more interesting? I'm going to say leave yourself out.
Leave myself out, okay, yeah. So I'm going to go with a 2-1-1 formation, okay?
2-1-1.
I think we're after 2-1-1.
Defensive.
I'm going to go at the back. I'll go with Johnny Evans.
Good shout.
I'm going to go Johnny Evans and Phil Bardsley. Bit of a combo there. Johnny, a bit silkier on the ball, and Phil can leave a foot in when Johnny goes on a little mazy run forward. Centre mid, I'm going to go Steed Malbrung.
Good shout. Great shout.
Especially in a five-a-side. And up front, I would either go, I might be too many people's liking, but probably Chops, Michael Chopra in terms of finishing, or Darren Bent.
Oh, God.
Yeah? Darren Bent, we'll go Darren Bent then, yeah?
Oh, I don't know if I wanted to go for either. I was hoping for Kenwin, but I suppose...
No, Kenwin's not a five-a-side player, is he? Come on.
Well, you could move him to centre half as well, though. Well, Steve Busto, you could.
I'll put him on the bench then, yeah? We'll have him first.
Stick him on the bench, all right.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Tony. Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it, mate. Thanks.
I don't know if I can allow you to have Chopra, though. Nice enough lad as he is, but...
We'll go Darren Bent then.
We'll go Darren Bent.